Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The assault rifle category here in Warzone Season 5 is as competitive as it's been maybe ever. I mean, every single weapon in this category, sub maybe the M16, is, right up there. It can actually hold its own against the other options in the category itself. Now, in general, the rifle category, the assault rifles in specific, which is what we're focusing on here today, don't always stand up one-to-one with some of the LMGs or battle rifles or marksman rifles, but obviously the assault rifles are some of the most commonly used weapons in the game because they're pretty straightforward, they're pretty easy, they get the job done. And so today we are breaking down the top 5 best assault rifles you want to be running this season, and we're starting first with a weapon that I really enjoy, even though it is probably a little bit underrated and underutilized. It's the STB. This is very much so a do-it-all rifle, and you can build this out in so many different ways. You could build it to be sniper support and more AR SMG hybrid, like similar to like the MX9 almost, honestly. You could build this out specifically just for the mid-range, or you could do what I do here and build this out for long range, where it actually has one of the better TTKs. And quite frankly, this setup is versatile enough that you could use this at 20 meters, 30 meters, 60 meters, 100 meters, and you're going to be able to land shots on target consistently. It's so straightforward, so easy to use. It is a little held back by its ammo count, and that's kind of the same deal with the MX9 as well, unfortunately. So AUG platform weapons might need a bit more ammo to really be those top tier weapons, but regardless, this is still a phenomenal AR choice. So we do go for 42 round mag. That's obviously the largest option we've got. High velocity on here because I don't feel like you really need an underbarrel in this case because the recoil is so easy. That said, if you wanted to swap out high velo or even swap out the rear guard barrel for Ripper or something, you could do so. I don't think there's a wrong answer between those three categories. I like the feel of rear guard though. It's going to offer range and velocity, just make it more efficient in the mid to long range. I do go for Harbinger Suppressor because this is a heavier option, so that's going to add in some control to the overall loadout here alongside some range and some velocity. Then the AMOB V4 optic as well. So you go in with this thing, it's going to be super low recoil even without focusing too much on recoil, which is a huge benefit because then you can focus on other aspects and really optimize it to your play style there. But really fun assault rifle, one that definitely deserves more attention. Another rifle that probably doesn't get enough love is the Kastov 545. This thing is one of the lowest recoil options in the entire game, and because of that, its realistic TTK is actually a lot more competitive than you might think. You see the TTK of this on paper and it's like, all right, it's pretty mediocre. If you compare this to a RAL or a RAP or something like a Lockman 762, it's not gonna look impressive at all. But then you factor in how many shots you might miss with those weapons versus this, and that gap closes to be a lot more competitive, right? So this is a very reliable weapon. If you want to just pick up a gun and do well with it right away without having to work too much to learn it, this is your choice right here. And this setup again is built around just optimizing that long range efficiency in a way because it's so easy out of the box, right? So AMOB V4 yet again, the 45 round mag, you could also jump up to 60 if you wanted to. There's quite literally no wrong answer there. I do go for high velocity again in this case alongside the K30 barrel, which helps out with control, velocity, and range. That nice 3-in-1 combo, of course. But just like on the STB, if you wanted to drop either the K30 barrel or high velocity and throw on the Ripper underbarrel, you absolutely could do so for some better stabilization. Again, there is no wrong answer between those three. All of them are going to make this weapon feel good. It just depends on your level of comfortability and really what you want to get out of this gun. Lastly, again, I go for the Harbinger Suppressor for the velo, the range, and the slight bit of control. So overall, this thing's going to shoot straight. You land those shots, you are going to feel like you are frying players just because it's so straightforward and so easy to use. Low skill, high reward. Super underrated rifle that actually is a great option. Now, getting into the top 3 here, quick reminder, if you are new to the channel, every day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD, whether it is meta breakdowns like this, the latest news, patch notes, whatever it may be, you'll find it here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and join us ultimately on the road to 1 million subs. And if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful at all, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It does really help the channel grow. Now, at number 3, I've got the Razorback, and this might be the most versatile setup on the list here today. This thing really can do it all. Now, sniper support, it's got it covered. It's probably my favorite option for sniper support, if I'm being honest. Long range, though, where this setup is really meant for, also can get the job done. It is super low recoil, this setup in specific. It's got that higher fire rate, so the damage per mag is not as great as some other choices, but to me, it is a fresh and unique feel for rifles and one that really can fry if you know what you're doing with this. And curiously enough, this setup is one that True Game Data's MetaGen sort of spat out. I've tweaked it a little bit to fit my playstyle a little bit more, but for the most part, this is what the AI is saying is the best option here. The recoil is super predictable, and because of that, it again takes very little effort to go through and really master this gun and start beaming in game. So we got aim off V4 yet again. Of course, if there's a different optic you prefer more, feel free to use that. The 60 round mag is a necessity here because you will run out of ammo and have to reload very quick, even with this, just because that fire rate is a little bit higher. High velocity ammo in this case. The proto underbarrel is specific to the Razorback here, and it is such a great underbarrel. Helps out with stability and stabilization alongside horizontal control, so it's going to make the pattern a lot more predictable by making it primarily vertical. You then add on the Komodo heavy compensator, which is also focusing on horizontal control, and you have what is maybe the most predictable gun in the game. You know exactly how this weapon's going to feel every time you shoot it. There's not nearly as much variance with this as there is some other weapons because of random sway or their weird approach to recoil patterns this year. So this setup is one of my favorites as of late, one that I've been rocking a lot as sniper support or even as a standard primary as well. It works for pretty much everything here. Would highly recommend. Now following that, we've got the M13, and this and the Razorback, honestly you could flip-flop because they're so similar in so many ways, which is funny to say because this build varies drastically compared to that Razorback build, right? This one's a bit more standard compared to the other rifles that we've already talked about in a lot of ways, but this again is a high fire rate, lower recoil weapon that statistically is actually one of the best rifles in the entire game. And you know, when you're landing your shots, you're gonna notice that. Here we got the aim off V4 yet again, 60 round mag once more because that fire rate, again, pretty fast, so you're gonna need that. Now, this is also basically the similar situation to the 5.45 and the STB. Between the barrel, muzzle, underbarrel, and ammo, you really can't go wrong. Regardless of what you choose to mix and match here, you're gonna have a very consistent feeling gun. Now, I'm very comfortable with this setup, and it's one that you guys have seen me talk about before. But if you're someone who really wants that better stabilization and wants that better sway, I'd probably recommend dropping the Echelon barrel here. This does offer some range, velo, and control, but dropping that for, you know, a Ripper underbarrel or even something like Lock Grip Precision as well. The Bruin Warrior could work too. There are underbarrels there that could fit your playstyle more if you need a little bit more control or if you need a little bit more stabilization there. If you're very comfortable with it though, this is a setup that I really like. Harbinger on here obviously offers that bit of control, that better velo, that better range, and so does Echelon as well. And of course, high velo will make you feel a bit more consistent in the mid to long range. Have to work less for that bullet lead and bullet drop. Just a really reliable rifle, again, one that has been, you know, towards the top of the list for some time now. And then at number one, I've got the powerhouse of the assault rifle category, the Kastov 7.62. Statistically, if you're landing your shots, this is going to be the fastest TTK rifle over long range in the game. It is going to just melt. Now, it does have a bit more control, honestly more recoil than everything else that we've talked about here today. It's by far the highest recoil gun on the list. It's also the highest risk, highest reward weapon on the list, though. Like I said, you land one or two headshots in a fight with this thing, it's going to be tough to outgun it, even with some of these stronger weapons in the game outside of the rifle category, right? So this setup largely focused on helping out with that recoil control. I go for aim off V4 yet again because I'm nice and familiar with that. 40 round extended mag is the max here, but this fire rate is nothing like the M13s or the Razorback. It's honestly kind of slow, so 40, you don't really have to worry about running out of ammo all that much. I do go for high velocity in this case to make it feel more consistent over long range. Ripper underbarrel for that better stabilization, just to help make that pattern feel a bit more predictable. And then the Talon suppressor as well. This is again is a heavier option, so better velo, better range, a little bit better control too here. Unfortunately, that's the max of 5 attachments, so we can't run something like the Cast 10, which would help out even more with velo and control and range, unless you wanted to drop something like high velocity, which really is the only, I guess, expendable attachment in this situation to keep the weapon still feeling consistent and relatively easy to use. But that being said, those are the top 5 rifles in Warzone 2 right now, and that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all things going on in COD between MW2, Warzone, and DMZ, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.